CIG has been talking about physicalized inventories, but this goes far beyond replacing the magical bag of holding with actual storage capacities on our gear, looting other players, or utilizing storage areas on our ship. This singular game feature is the gateway to much of the promised gameplay, and will even influence the way we fly our ships. CIG has been showing us the progress on the physical inventories recently, and we've seen them progress from simple concepts to what is now looking like first implementations coming in 3.11 on the roadmap. And it's in polishing, so barring some last-minute complication, this looks like it's coming in just a few weeks. So I want to talk about what this feature really means, not only to the present, but future, because it has some far-reaching implications. The basis of what we're starting with is pretty simple. We'll be able to visually manage food, drink, mined rocks, these are hand minables, and harvested items stored in our personal inventory, moving them between our backpack and suit pockets and any external storage devices, such as the cargo access on certain vehicles. I don't think we'll be picking through the pockets of other players just yet, and scavenging the bodies of wreck survivors we come across is probably just out of reach. But all that is just the beginning. Being able to pick up and store things, and have their size or weight factor into how they're stored and managed is a fundamental of many games, and a hinge pin to what allows many other things to happen. Let me show you what I mean. Take this very early concept example of the habitats they're drawing up for the verse. It's CIG's intention for players to be able to purchase these habs, place them on their property that they own, and then utilize the functionality of the hab or the building according to whatever its purpose is. I personally would love to be a space farmer, and even though I didn't buy the Endeavor as a concept ship, the idea of equipping it with the botanical pods and floating around through space, growing a variety of plants that either myself or a transport pilot would deliver to various facilities, just seems really cool. This is probably my ship to have as a goal and to work for in-game. But the functionality of this ship would not be possible without the physical inventory system. The same can be true for the habs that they showed us. Here, we see a concept for some kind of botanical building for growing crops and storing them. The question behind this kind of gameplay seems pretty obvious when you think about it. How in the world are we going to be able to buy seeds or seedlings, carry and transport them around, then somehow physically plant them in the ground, either by hand or with machines, unless these are physical entities that we can move from a crate to our inventory, to a machine, and then into the ground? And similarly, what about the harvest? We'll have a variety of items that we'll be gathering from our ground habitat or our Endeavor. They'll be of different sizes, different weights, produced in a variety of quantities, and we will need some kind of system for them to be gathered, carried, stored, and moved to where they need to be sold. CIG has always been very big on creating a realistic, simulated, immersive gameplay.
When we shift to physical inventory and just being more tactile, this is necessary interface because you know, pulling up your character as a thing, that's like a paper doll, like an an RPG paper doll thing, and we want Star Citizen to be much more sort of in situ, tactile. I see things, I interact with them. Hey, I need to put a scope on, I put a scope on.
Exactly.
And so we want to shift towards that, and so these are, you know, like we've been talking about in this session, a lot of the stuff are building blocks towards cooler and bigger stuff that's coming down the road.
So it's only reasonable to think they would have something more in place than just clicking on a plant and having the fruits of that flora just magically pop into a crate aboard somebody's ship. We're going to have to move these things around, and the physical inventory makes that possible. And we can see they're taking into account that different items will take up different amounts of volume, and that some items at least can be stacked into a slot.
It can stack items of the same type. It can split, because by default an item of the same type is stacked together, so it can split some of them, switch part of them to another container.
Probably up to a given quantity, depending on the size and weight of that item. So even something seemingly far removed as a game feature like farming is actually contingent upon having this physicalized inventory. There are a wide variety of ships that have storage lockers, places to be able to hang armor and clothes for us to be able to put on and off as needed. We may need some armors for hot environments, some armors for cold environments, a lightweight armor for fast movement, a heavy armor for storming a facility. Maybe we just want to keep some civilian clothes aboard our ship. These again require a physical inventory. It's not realistic for us to carry in our backpack 4 different suits of armor. Perhaps we could carry one set of something if it's not too big, but for the most part, these will need to be stored aboard our ships or in closets at some facility we call home where we spawn into the game. Different lockers will hold different amounts of clothing or armor. There's a rather large locker in the mole for changing out suits to mine in different kinds of environments. But the locker aboard the 315P looks mighty small and might only be able to hold one set of light armor or a change of clothing. This gives each ship its own capability, its own unique utility, and creates value to the ship contents itself. Death and destruction of our ships today is commonplace. People have gotten used to it and actually consider it almost to be part of the gameplay, but it's not really. I try to play the game as if it's more of a finished product. I try to take care of my ship and avoid filing claims for it simply for the purpose of transporting it to some different location. CIG's intention is for our ships to be considered precious, and even the weapons and damage systems will be reworked, so these ships should fall into various states of damage or incapacity instead of all-out destruction, which is what we have today. It's pretty much the primary way to overcome and disable a ship. These physical inventories and carrying things aboard our ship are going to change the way everyone flies. It's going to change the way pirates interact with those they're trying to extort money from or steal cargo from. Caution and tactics will be more of the rule. Even with the future insurance system that may provide some degree of monetary compensation for lost contents, it doesn't guarantee that the rare animal you picked up on some distant moon will be restored to you, or that favorite set of armor you purchased at a shop aboard some Banu merchantman will magically come back to you. You may have rare or expensive items aboard, or may have just stocked your carrack with lots of food and water, weapons for your men, mining tools, and spare sets of armor to be ready for any type of planetary condition. The aggregate of all these items will probably make players more strategic about how they approach a situation. It's doubtful that a player in this kind of fully stocked carrack will decide to pilot it solo into some part of space that's known for its danger. He'll probably want it fully crewed. He may want a fighter escort. He may also want a Terrapin pilot aboard for advanced scouting. But this degree of care and caution would probably be considerably less if this horde of ship contents were not at stake, and that is possible because of the physical inventory. Right now, you just carry everything with you, but with the physical inventory system, your body might get looted.
The intention is to allow you to interact with things outside of your character and then interact with the inventory within that. So if you're wandering around with your multi-tool lasering rocks and your inventory is getting full, you can just go and dump the contents of your backpack into the back of your gun rock instead. Future releases, we're definitely going to see a lot more using this feature. What I'm personally looking forward to is I already enjoy making corpses, but at some point I'm going to be able to start riffling through them and seeing what's in their inventory as well. And that's really exciting.
Players will need to make decisions about what they bring with them and what they leave behind. If they leave it at their home habitat, then they're making a strategic decision that they won't need that item at all. If they leave it aboard their ship where it's not on their person but more readily accessible, then that extra caution comes into play. I'm excited about the physical inventories to some extent for the mechanics, but probably even more excited for what it means as a building block for additional gameplay. And really in this video, I've only scratched the surface of how this influences other game features, like the player looting I talked about in a prior video. I'm really curious to see how soon this system will be rolled out across the various ships, NPCs, players, habitats, and all the places where things can be stored. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to for other kinds of deep dives or just entertaining videos, and I'll be talking to you later.